It's been a month. Thank God. The Hornets get a win. Boy, we needed it. Charles Lee said the players needed it. I'm sure Coach Lee needed it himself. What went into the victory over the Suns, and LaMelo Ball, what got into him, especially from that second quarter on. That's all today on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We are free and available anywhere you get your pods, and that includes YouTube. I'm Walker Mehl. You can listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m., and there is Doug Branson. You can find him on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, he hosts Locked On NBA, where I'm sure the lead story is going to be the Hornets' victory over the Phoenix Suns last night. Hornets pick up the first dub since December 8th against the Pacers. They win last night, 115 to 104 over the Suns. At home, too. They did it in front of the home crowd. Doug, it was a very different feeling. I'm on Media Row, and I see a bunch of people in Suns jerseys leave the arena early. They were leaving because their team was down. They were losing. They were going to lose. They were down double digits. It's usually Hornets jerseys trying to get ahead of traffic, but it was Phoenix Suns fans last night, so it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no Locked On Suns, no Phoenix Suns chants in the arena. This was all about the Charlotte Hornets executing a game plan despite some shooting struggles, staying with it, and I think to me, this was less about, look, Phoenix has problems, but they also have superstars. The Hornets did a good job of neutralizing those superstars, or at least one of them in Kevin Durant and maybe two of them in Bradley Beal. But this wasn't a lucky win or one where the team caught fire from three. This was a defining game for Charles Lee basketball. I mean, they played unselfishly. They limited turnovers. They scored off other teams' turnovers. They crashed the glass. They pushed the pace. They ran back. And they stuck to defensive principles. Like they found the way that the Hornets were supposed to win all season long.
No, it was a beautiful thing. Let's get to some of our responsibilities real quickly. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Plus, your favorite podcast has a newsletter introducing the Locked On Hornets Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free right now. LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Hornets newsletter. Yeah, you said it was an executed game plan. And I would also, what was nice about this win was it didn't look all that executed, especially in the first quarter. They kept missing a ton of shots. And Doug, the Suns are not tall. They're not a very tall basketball team. Kevin Durant is tall. We know what his game is, more so perimeter oriented, but they don't have a lot of beef down low, especially when Nurkic is out of the game. They tried to take advantage down low. This is not going to help me with my Mark Williams case, but they couldn't do it last night with Mark, especially in the first quarter. He looks off. He's even a tick late on some of these rotations, blocking shots, where like the efforts there, his height still matters. Just being tall is always going to be in the mind of these guys. And you could see it on some of the arc they put up, but they still went in, right? So I think this is where this is the conditioning for Mark. This is him, to me, like also getting fouled every time he grabbed the basketball. The Suns came out and made a concerted effort to be crazy physical when the Hornets got into the paint. And I think that bothered Charlotte, not just Mark, by the way. They were fouling Nick early on. LaMelo was getting the ball, not necessarily tapped out. He only had one turnover, but they were being physical with him, not allowing him to driving lanes, especially in the first quarter, first half. And Brandon Miller, same thing. Like they were really fouling you. They were with 7 fouls, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. So that was the Suns' game plan. But then the Hornets, they started executing after that. There was a flip or a switch that flipped there going into the second. They started hitting shots, and LaMelo just took over. We talked about it yesterday. League pass reasons to watch the Charlotte Hornets. It's because LaMelo just goes freaking crazy sometimes. And we saw this yesterday where he was playing smart basketball. Like, we also talked about situational recognition. I tweeted out that sequence of him recognizing that Bradley Beal is just hanging on the rim after a dunk. And then LaMelo's like, all right, let's go. Let's take advantage of this. We have numbers. So he attacks Devin Booker, shoots through a no foul. Should have been one, by the way. Hits the shot, come back, Bradley Beal, hang on rim, push the pace. Let's get advantage of take advantage of numbers, score again, go to the foul line, and one. There's a 5-point sequence for Melo. I just thought he was really good, especially after missing a lot of shots in the first quarter. And clearly, to me, the biggest reason they won with his offense.
Yeah, 32 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. I think a triple-double is coming pretty soon. His three-point shot still missing in action, at least in the first half, but it was there when the Hornets needed it, particularly when the Suns were making that late rally in the fourth quarter when you thought, oh boy, here we go. LaMelo was able to knock down some clutch shots. And I thought he was also central to the Hornets' defensive game plan, which the game plan essentially was to deny Kevin Durant the ball, if at all possible, let Devin Booker cook, because they know that Devin Booker is not an impact game-winning player. You know, he's Devin Snooker. Mm-hmm. So they took my advice. I saw that
on the whiteboard, by the way. I wanted to text you a picture. It was Devin Snooker. Let him cook.
They said let him score 70, 80. Doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference if the Suns are going to win. It's all about Kevin Durant and then Beal coming off the bench.
Yeah. Let Snooker cooker is what it said on the whiteboard.
That is what it said. And so they did that. But where LaMelo's role came in is when that happened, when that ball denial happens, then LaMelo was ready to pick off the pass, was ready to come in out of nowhere, and he got 4 steals in this game and turned them over, and then got in a transition where I thought he was sort of the central source of energy, of confidence. The kids call it aura. You know, he was kind of the guy that was bringing the swag back to the Charlotte Hornets, and they've needed it. I mean, 10 straight losses, 18 out of their last 19. It dates back to the November 23rd loss to the Milwaukee Bucks when this full streak started, you know, with that Indiana aberration in the middle there. But so, I mean, I just thought that LaMelo was really the game ball goes to him. There were other players that I would give game balls that I did on the Every Hornets box score write-up. I gave game balls to Nick Richards, who came off the bench. You were. I didn't want to start the show negative, so I'm going to ignore your Mark Williams comments until maybe later in the show. But Nick Richards was a positive. After getting benched in the second half of the last game, he comes in, big Nick energy, throwing it around all over the place, offensive rebound putbacks, running the floor, being available for lobs, defending the paint. So impressed with what Nick Richards. Somebody had to get in his ear after that last game and said, Nick, if you don't start playing well, you're going to get traded to the Wizards. Is that what you want? Is that what you want?
That's what his response was. No, I'm just going to come out and play well. I don't know who you gave a game ball to. I know who I would give a game ball to as well. It would be Miles Bridges.
Yep.
Look, I got to say, man, I think Miles has been on court a guy that just has not quit all season long. I think you go back, the Rockets game stands out. You know, I went to that game, saw them go down by 30 in the first half. It was an atrocious contest as soon as that ball was up in the air for tip. But in the second half, Miles, by the way, like, wasn't efficient. Like, it's not like Miles was this fantastic player in the first half. He contributed to them going down so much against Houston. But in the second half, he didn't settle. Like, he kept attacking the basket. He kept going for it. And I think you saw a ton of effort from Miles in this game against Phoenix. You talk about somebody that cared, got a technical because the officials had some real bad calls against the Hornets too. We didn't get any home cooking in this one. But
ridiculous. Zach Zarba. Whenever I see the double Z,
he was on one.
I was like, oh God, it's gonna be a night.
He was on one, man. He got some camera time, didn't he? The reviews, the foul calls, and anytime you remotely touched Kevin Durant, it was going to be a foul. And I get it, the star call thing. But Miles is tapping that basketball loose from KD and then diving for it. You know, Charles Lee was pointing to the wrong foul call on Miles there, and it was him going after the ball for a loose ball, diving for the floor with KD.
That wasn't even the worst call. The worst call was Cody Martin. They called him for the landing zone. They didn't give him the flagrant, but they called the foul, the shooting corner foul.
Yeah,
I think it was on Beal, and the cameras caught Cody looking at Zach Zarba and saying, "How do you play defense?" If that's a good contest, it doesn't matter what generation of NBA fan you are, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, like that is a good contest, and they call the foul there.
If it's in the corner, I think it was Devin Booker, your boy, giving you more ammo to hate that guy. So I think it was him, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just rambling on about Miles, all to say, like, his effort is palpable. You can see it. It's something that exists in the second half of these blowouts. It exists in the victories. It exists in every single game for the most part, I guess, right? Like, I can't tell you any moments where I think Miles is giving up. And I think that matters in a season that has gone so south so quickly. Miles is somebody that you can look to on the court and say, okay, that's the kind of effort I want to exert.
Yeah, he didn't fall in love with the three, 2 of 5, only 5 attempts, and you hit 2 of them. I mean, that's you're going to like that from Miles Bridges on most night. And here's what he did. Of the wing players that had extra responsibilities tonight or last night against KD and Beal, you had Miller exerting himself on the defensive end of the floor a lot. You had Josh Green getting himself in foul trouble, chasing around guys. You had Cody Martin doing a lot. And you had Miles Bridges, who was really, I would say, the main guy responsible for denying the ball to Kevin Durant.
Yeah, he was.
Trying his best to guard him. I mean, you do what you do once he has the ball in his hands. But of those 4 guys, he was the one guy that was also able to contribute offensively. 21 points in this game because Miller struggled from the field and struggled turning the basketball over. And then Cody Martin, 1 of 5 from the field. And where did Josh Green finish? 1 of 3. So, of your wing players, you got to have one of those guys. You expect it to be Brandon Miller, but you got to have one of those guys contribute offensively, and Miles did enough.
Okay, let's get more into this game. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
We get into more observations, plus you see at the Sicko Satchel, we continue to go to your bag of questions. That's all still to come on Locked On Hornets. Before we do that, I want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by Ultimate College Basketball Head Coach. That's right. I want to take a moment to introduce you to a brand new mobile game that I'm really excited about, Ultimate College Basketball HC. If you've ever dreamed of being a college basketball head coach, this is your chance to step into those shoes. In Ultimate College Basketball HC, you control every detail of your program, from recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps, handling NIL deals, and managing scholarships. It's all in your hands. And when it comes to game time, you get to draw up offensive plays, set your strategy. The way you play won't just affect the current season, it will shape the future of your school's basketball program too. It's a game that lets you feel the full weight of what it means to be a head coach and lead your team to glory. Also, YouTube comment sections are going to criticize you. They're going to talk about your family. It's a lot of I'm playing. I take that part out. That's not going to happen.
That's a lot of detail. Nobody wants to actually coach college basketball anymore. So this is a good opportunity
It is.
for you to get in there, get your skills set, hone your skills, and
That's
get
right.
that college basketball job you've always dreamed of.
Yeah, Coach K, Roy Williams, they're all leaving, but you can enter the game because they're just not cut out for it like you are. Here's a special offer for Locked On NBA listeners, too. Use promo code Locked On College Basketball, Locked On CBB, all caps, inside the game store to get a free boost for your program. It's the perfect way to kickstart your coaching career. To download Ultimate College Basketball HC, just visit ultimate-cbb.com. Or look it up on the app stores, too. That might be easier. Ultimate College Basketball HC - begin your coaching legacy today. More Locked On Hornets ahead. All right, more observations in this one. I think another storyline that we need to follow, certainly in the positive category, Nick Smith Jr. shows up again. How about Nick Smith Jr. just creating some stuff? You could see the energy. Like when you're giving me a skip dribble, when he's just skipping down the floor, he's just wired with energy. I think he's having fun, which was a lot of fun for us to watch as fans. Actually creating a little bit in the passing game. The half-court alley to Miles, right? Like that was a sick alley. It was on the money from a far, far distance. I think Miles just getting a lot of air on that jump too helped Nick Smith Jr. create or have a big enough target. But, man, NSJ, second straight game where he picks up about 20 points. His stat line, just real quickly, is 8 points for him, 3 of 8 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, but also 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 0 turnovers, baby. Did not cough up the basketball, not one time. A plus 11, if you care about that sort of thing. I thought he was good, and he was good for the second straight game.
Exactly. He's playing with a lot of energy, but it's so much of a different energy than he played the last time that he had a significant role. And what I mean by that is it's more controlled energy. things are, you can just look, he's got a look in his eye, as I like to say a lot. He's got that look in his eye, and that look is, I'm not incredibly frightened about what's happening. Things are not moving too fast for me. I understand what my responsibilities are, and I understand when I have a good shot, take it, and when I don't, pass it. I mean, that's, it sounds like so simple when it comes out of my mouth when I hear it, but it's something that young players struggle with so much, is that pass shot decision making, and seems like he's finally figured it out. And it also seems like his shot form has come back. That was a big storyline in this summer league, that he was focused on the defensive end of the floor, but he couldn't hit he couldn't get the ball in the basket at all. And this was something that he made, his high school career, and the short stint that he had in college was he was a shot maker. And so to see him knock down a few is great. And now the next thing is, like, can he go on a heater? Can he give you all of a sudden give you 15, 20 off the bench in a game that's going to help you win? Because that's what Trey Mann was doing for this team before his back got injured. So the question is, can Nick Smith Jr. be the next man up?
Yeah, very nicely done. I appreciate that setup and nice follow through. Great dismount. All of it was fantastic, but he was very good yesterday, and I think you can see a different type of game from him. Plus,
but seriously, when I say next man up, I mean the conversation there, because this is, I think I wrote this down in the Every Hornets box score write up, is like, If Nick Smith Jr. is going to play at this level and continue to increase it through the year heading into the trade deadline, like, who does that make you more comfortable losing? Because I look at his body and I go, well, he doesn't have the size to really he's got better effort on the defensive end of the floor, but he doesn't have the size to replace a guy like Cody Martin or Josh Green. But I don't know what Mann's status is in terms of how close he is to getting back or how much they want to prioritize. Maybe it makes you more comfortable if you do know that Mann's going to come back. Maybe it just boosts Nick Smith Jr.'s value in a potential trade, or it makes you feel comfortable moving Trey Mann.
Look, and I know Trey Mann is going to come at a much higher cost. Again, by the way, this is if Nick Smith Jr. does this for a much longer stretch of games than just the two that he's played. But I think I more so believe in the latter. I just think Trey has a much more controlled sense of the game. Even before he got to this point in his career, it felt like he was somebody that was trying to get to his spots more. NSJ did that too, like even in the mid-range. So I guess we'll see. I do think defensively, Trey Mann has like some real anticipation chops. I really like what he does defensively in passing lanes. And I don't know if I see a ton with NSJ right now, but hey, he's making us talk about him, and he deserves to be talked about because of the way that he played yesterday. The other thing I wanted to mention, the Hornets have always done a nice job of utilizing Greensboro. It's here. It's not very far away, and they're going to send guys down there if they don't feel like they're getting enough reps with the big league squad. So Moussa Diabate, yeah, he's going down there too, because you basically have unlimited snaps as a two-way player before we have to, talk real turkey contractually. So he's going down to Greensboro. But also, I think this helped NSJ, right? Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that he goes down to Greensboro and then he comes back and then starts playing better. You see the ball go through the hoop a little bit. You have a bigger role, and now you have more confidence, and you can see that confidence out there on the court, whether it be against the Cavs, who are a really good basketball team, or the Suns, who have a bunch of star power. So I don't think that's a coincidence.
Well, and how much did I get on NSJ about his passing early in his career?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this guy, it's not even that he's not great at passing, it's that he's not like a functional NBA passer. And like, so many of his passes were just like the defense could telegraph them immediately and pick them off. And so even in transition, when you have a little bit of open floor space, he wasn't hitting. In this game, he threw a center court lob to Miles Bridges, which makes me want to ask you, Walker, there were so many like crazy circus plays in this game.
There was.
That was one of them. Brandon Miller got it started early. Despite the Hornets, they were 0 for 9 to start this game, minus a miracle shot where I think Mark Williams saved it from out of bounds, and he shot it with like 0.2 left on the shot clock, and it banks off for 3. Yep. Then LaMelo had the pass off the backboard to himself, then to Brandon, then to Mark for a foul, and then, of course, you had LaMelo hitting it from his shorts as he's falling down. Like, which of those circus plays was your favorite?
I think my favorite was the backboard because it was so sudden. And let me tell you, in the arena, I don't know if you guys could hear this on the broadcast, by the way, but the rim mic, hot. hot rim mic in this one. That was a thud that echoed.
Oh, you heard
the
it on
Spectrum
TV.
Center.
I felt it like it made my subwoofer go a little bit, maybe a couch rumble.
Earthquake. I mean, honestly, I saw our buddy Rod Morrow. He was like right there close to the baseline. We need to get his opinion on this because I have to imagine it shook him up a little bit. I wonder if his seat was shaking because of the way that thudded against the backboard. But yeah, that was the one. The also like presence of mind for LaMelo to throw it against the backboard. Usually people do that with the intention to alley it to themselves or grab the rebound for the easy lay-in, but it wasn't there. And then LaMelo just makes another awesome pass after that. So he gets it off the backboard and then another dish, and then it finds Mark, who gets fouled on the dunk attempt and can't finish it, but goes to the foul line and you get some points from it. That was the one. You're right. Crazy plays all around, some fun stat lines, but the backboard pass to himself was pretty wild.
You mentioned the like smarts by him, the awareness, and in the last episode we were talking about the improvements that he has to make in terms of situational game awareness, and I thought this game was a perfect example of him doing that. There was that play, but I'd also like to mention a play in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. Again, the Suns made a run. They charged up. KD got going. Booker stayed going, and Beal got a couple shots to go down too. And about 4:20 left in this game, LaMelo on the break could have pulled up for an off-balance three-point shot, but instead he swings it to Bridges, and the defense sort of runs past LaMelo, swings it to Bridges, trusts that Bridges sees that he's still open. Bridges passes it back, swings it back to LaMelo, and LaMelo gets a much better look, sets his feet, and knocks down the three-point shot, which was, I mean, they were struggling to find any kind of daggers. That was as close to a dagger as they got in that fourth quarter. And I just thought, again, like, yes, that's what we need you to do all game long and for multiple games, is make those kind of mature basketball decisions.
There were multiple things that I thought broadcasted his situational recognition, to use the term that Charles Lee did. And I totally got the same exact thing that you did from him in this game. All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Speed's everywhere!
Perhaps rapid fire takeaways, the stuff we did not hit on. Plus, we got to get to the Sicko Satchel questions. That's coming up in the last segment of Locked On Hornets. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time? I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending a concert last year. The energy and the excitement, it's unforgettable when you go to a concert, or even a game like the Hornets played last night. That's a lot of fun too. Now, Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets anymore. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, Locked On NBA, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time?
Game time.
More Locked On Hornets ahead. All right, any other rapid fire takeaways that you have? That maybe the Tijan Salon spin move wasn't a lot from Tijan, but he gave us a nice spin move. Big thumbs up, and we'll just remember that play from this one.
Yeah, you were at the game, so you didn't get to hear the call. EC called it the French Revolution, which I'm totally jealous of that I didn't think of it.
That is so good. EC, good God.
He had that one. He had that. That was not off the dome. I will not believe that came off the dome. He had that locked and loaded, ready to go for Salon. But the fact, honestly, like the fact that Salon, a guy that size, is that agile and can pull that off should make every part of you tingle about the future prospects of Tijan Salon with the Charlotte Hornets. Like if this guy puts it all together, Jeff Peterson might have really found a gem early in his GM career. Some other things, I thought Brandon Miller was overthinking things a little bit in this game, both with the pass and the shot. There were a few shots early on where I'm like, dude, come off that screen, immediately pull up. And there was just like one dribble too many that I thought knocked him off his rhythm. And again, I'm able to give him a little bit of leeway because I saw him doing some extra stuff defensively away from the ball a lot in this game. And so I think that impacted. I think the message to the wing guys was, hey, we need you to really lock in on the defensive end of the floor and not worry about your shot. So I'm willing to give him a break in this game. The foul on Tijon, the Bradley Beal foul, where, again, it shouldn't have been a flagrant 2. Like, Beal shouldn't have gotten kicked out of the game, but they kept that a common foul. Like, Bradley Beal body checked. I know it wasn't on purpose, but he body checked Tijon Salon. I guarantee you, if that happens to Bradley Beal, if that happens to Kevin Durant, God forbid it happen to Devin Snooker. It's not a flagrant 1, it's a flagrant 2, and you're banned in the NBA. Like, it's a ridiculous call, common foul.
No, in the moment, I thought it was a ridiculous foul and knew it was going to be flagrant. I just knew it was going to be a flagrant foul. And they showed the highlight one time, or the low light, on the Jumbotron, and it looked almost purposeful in real time. And it did not look purposeful in the one highlight that I got to see. I didn't mind it as much. At first, I was about to be real mad, but it still was excessive. Like, you are still talking about just flailing about. What I think happened was Beal didn't know that that's the lane that Tijon was driving in. I think he thought Tijon was a little bit wider, and he was reaching to go or reacting to go to that spot where he thought Salon was. But psych, Salon, he sneaked up on you in a hurry, and I think that's what happened. But I'm with you. Shouldn't have been a 2, but I thought it should have been a flagrant 2 in real time before even seeing the highlight.
I want to see more physical play. I want to see more bodies clashing in these games. And that doesn't really suit who the Hornets are right now, but I like to see that in the NBA. But that's not how it's been called. I just want it called equally for all teams. And I'm just saying, I've seen that play, again, regardless of intent, I've seen that play, that exact same collision called a flagrant 1 over and over and over in this league, and to not see it happen to Tijon Salon, who I want to protect. I want to put him in a glass case. He's too young to be getting like any kind of lower spine injuries, and he didn't, thank goodness. But I just don't want anything to happen to him, and it's ridiculous that was a common foul.
It looked terrible in real time for sure, and it probably should have been a flagrant. But anyway, it wasn't called. And I don't want to complain, but man, there were some real bad calls in this one. It happened quite frequently. What else you got before we go to the Sicko Satchel?
Well, I said I didn't want to be negative up top about Mark Williams, but I just do want to mention that. I agree with you that he was a step late on the defensive end of the floor, and you were talking about him getting fouled a lot. I thought he was getting fouled a lot because he was hesitating so much under the basket, and he was allowing defenses to react to him. There were a few times where he could have gone up with it quick and gotten a bucket and not even been fouled, but he was forcing the contact, not because he wanted to force the contact, but just because he was slow on the uptake. And then how many block whiffs did he have? Bliffs. How many bliffs did he have in this game?
He was late.
Like 17 of them.
That's what. No, he was. You're totally right. Like, he was. There were just times. It felt like, I don't know. I'm trying to think how much of it was Mark being late himself, and how much of it is letting his defenders like take care of their assignment, because a lot of the bliffs, as you just mentioned, which were dangerously close to like what feels like a dirty word. I don't know if that sticks around, but
it sounds like it. Like when you close your eyes, you're like, you're like searching your brain. Like,
that's what. Where have I seen that on Urban Dictionary? It's somewhere, even though I can't tell you the definition.
I'm gonna look it up.
But
I'm gonna look it up.
But with Mark Williams having some of that stuff, I wonder if it's just, okay, you have to take care of this assignment. You can't let them get to the rim. Oh, they've beaten you. Now I'm going to react to it, and it's just too late at that time. But even still, the offensive rebounds, the 10 rebounds for Mark, I thought he played better a little bit later in this game. I know that they took him out and gave Nick Richards some time. But yeah, plus the last thing on Mark.
Oh God.
I'm
sorry. I'm not reacting to you. I'm looking up these.
No, I know.
I'm looking up Urban Dictionary. There are a lot of uses of the word bliff, and most of them are not very good.
I am not surprised in the slightest. But early on in this game too, Doug, I think some of them were some hot potatoes coming in, but you just could not get a connection on these passes from whoever driving and then slip passing to Mark. I mean, there were so many times. We've never had a conversation about Mark having a hands issue. Like, that's not something Mark has.
It's crazy.
In this game, they just couldn't connect. They tried to take advantage of the size down low, and they out-rebounded the hell out of Phoenix last night. They out-rebounded by like 17, something like that, and Mark was a part of it. At the same time, just rough look for Mark. It didn't look like he did against the Pistons. Didn't look like he did against the Bulls. Did look like a tiny bit in a different way. Had a bad game. He also had a bad game against Cleveland, but I felt like he had a different kind of bad game against Phoenix. All right, let's go to some questions. What you got?
Casual Hindu has this fun question for us. Would you trade all allowable future firsts and seconds and everything of value on the roster minus LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller for Nikola Jokic? And who is the worst player that you would trade everything for?
Okay, so the first answer that I'll have for you is absolutely. What? No, it's in it, and I get the spirit of the question too. It's not a dumb question. I'm just telling you.
You're giving up everything. Like you will not be. You are essentially becoming Phoenix, because that's what Phoenix did to acquire Kevin Durant and pair Kevin Durant with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. You saw it. Like Oso Ighodaro was a gift to the Charlotte Hornets every time he touched the basketball.
Yeah, that's correct.
Ty Jones couldn't do it. Like so many players on that floor, it was like if the ball hit their hands, you were like, and they shot it, you were like, yay.
Yeah, so I guess if you guaranteed me some kind of length that he'd be in a Hornets uniform,
Yeah. Let's assume whoever you get, it's not a 1 year kind of thing. You got him for 3 or 4.
Just covering my own backside on this. Yeah, because look, you have a lot of assets, right? You were number 6 in the asset rankings according to Bobby Marks. You collected the Mavs pick. You collected the Heat pick. You're probably going to get more. It's Brandon Miller, it's LaMelo Ball, and you're telling me I can have Nikola Jokic? Well, you've just guaranteed me the 2 players that I care about the most, and you're giving me what people largely consider to be the best basketball player of the last 5 years. Yeah, I'm getting rid of everything. I'm getting rid of all of it. Plus, I think Nikola has this game that kind of ages well too, so I might be getting even a little bit more than what most people would reasonably expect. The answer to that question is absolutely yes for me.
For Jokic, yes. Yeah. Then we're going to the Walmart $5 DVD bin and finding whatever we can. But
remember that's the problem the Nuggets have now, because they're contending for a championship. We are not. We get Jokic, and you're guaranteeing us a playoff spot. I don't care as much about depth as Denver does, but we're playing for different prizes here. So yes, I'm giving up everything.
All right, very quickly, let's find the line here. So I've got NBA ranked pulled up here from the Ringer. So would you do the same thing for Luka Doncic?
Yes, absolutely.
Same thing for Giannis.
And by the way, we're keeping Brandon and LaMelo for all of this, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Luka.
You're forming a big 3, and then you've really got to go and give vet men or find young players from the G League to fill out your roster.
Yeah, Luka without a doubt. Yep.
Giannis.
Yes.
Jason Tatum.
Yes.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
You got to figure out what that means with LaMelo, but yeah, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No doubt.
Both those guys.
Yep. No doubt.
Well, then you get into the old guys like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. You're probably not doing that for either of those guys at this point in their career.
Yeah.
Let's do the couple of Anthonys here. Anthony Edwards or Anthony Davis?
Ooh, not Anthony Davis. Anthony Edwards. Ooh, buddy.
I think we found the line. I feel like it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Top 5 players in the NBA. You do it. Anything below that, like even Anthony Edwards, I'm scared.
I'm doing it for Edwards.
Victor Wembanyama.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm doing it for Wemby. I'm doing it for Anthony Edwards too. For me, I think the line is Anthony Edwards. I think that's the line.
I wouldn't do it for Anthony Edwards. So my line is 6 players. We swing Victor all the way to the top. Like Ja Morant, no. De'Aaron Fox, no. Yeah, I think we found the line.
You think we
5
did?
or 6 players in the NBA that you would do that for at this point.
Okay. Yeah.
So great question, Casual Hindu.
Yeah.
Make sure you're signed up. Join subtext.com/Locked On Hornets. It's the official home of our mailbag segment, which we call the Sicko Satchel, because at this point, if you're still a fan of the Charlotte Hornets, you got a great. We celebrated a great win yesterday, but it's been a lot of pain, and it might be a mental illness by this point if you're still a fan of the Charlotte Hornets. But we're all sickos here, and join subtext.com/Locked On Hornets and submit your question to the Sicko Satchel.
Doesn't it make these moments so much sweeter? Like, my God, we are so happy.
I just had a giant smile on my face. My producer Katie walked down from putting the kiddo down and was like, "What's what are you so happy about? I'm like, the Hornets won.
They won.
They finally won.
Like there looked like there was some stability here. Like it wasn't even because LaMelo had this stupid, crazy, efficient night. He like did the right things. He was attacking, and he straight up brought it to Devin Booker and just nailed it. There's the one sequence I want to talk about where, if you've seen Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban, for a nerd moment, it's the time where Lupus actually is becoming a werewolf, and they're trying to stop him from becoming the werewolf, but there's no stopping it. The full moon is out. He's having the moonlight touch his skin. It's done. He's turning into the, I said lupus, which is a disease. I think I mean lupin, by the way. There's a very big difference there, so I apologize. Lupin is the guy I'm talking about. Either way, LaMelo had a moment where he turned into a werewolf and was going to get these shots up. There was the time where he gets a shot up, gets the rebound, gets the shot up. There's no stopping him. It's like, oh, okay, no. Well, you hit those shots, but I don't know if this is the right shot. But you hit him, but oh God, LaMelo, stop. No, he had the look in his eye, and it's not a disease look. It's a Lupin werewolf look.
If we still did rejoin clips, I guaranteed 100% that would be a rejoin clip. But I think you're exactly right. As they head out onto this West Coast road trip, it's going to be tough. They're going to take probably some big L's in a few of these games. Because look, what they did last night was good, but it shows like what the thin margin of victory, all the things that they had to do right. They had to convert nearly every transition opportunity. They had to crash the glass. They had to run the Phoenix Suns ragged and run them out of gas in order to win that game and make them too tired to be able to knock down clutch buckets at the end of that game. They needed LaMelo to score 30 plus, and they needed one other guy to score. And still, your offensive rating wasn't like 140 or 130. It was still lagging behind the rest of the NBA. So the margin for victory for the Charlotte Hornets still thin, but at least for one night, they proved they could put it all together.
Okay, loop in. Not lupus. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free. We're available anywhere you get your podcast. That includes YouTube. Go check out a fun edition of everyhornetsboxscore.com. Listen to Locked On NBA. Doug is the man that leads all of it. I'm Walker Mehl. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.